I was recently invited to London to go and test out Brimstone Sands and experience the greatsword firsthand. The event was super cool. I wasn't really knowing what to expect. There wasn't kind of too much beforehand. We didn't get to know really what was going on. But during the event, I got a chance to ask David, who is the creative director of New World, some questions and basically give him a little bit of an interview. I wasn't prepared, so the audio quality's, well, it's shit. I was using my phone for questions and recording. But I tried to get some fun questions in there, some about PvE, some about PvP, some about the future of the game, some about, you know, whether they're making money in the game right now and things like that. So this is it. This is my interview with David Verafillie, the creative director of New World. So what I thought I could do is maybe go from, get your opinion from the past to kind of where it is now and where we are. So I was just saying, yeah, New World's come a long way since launch. What are some of the biggest challenges that you guys as a team have faced since launching New World?
Yeah, I think, you know, for us, we got a lot of feedback about the starting experience, right? And that's one of the things we showed today, is that, you know, when people first start the game, they want a little more of a directed experience, I think. So what we tried to do with the sort of what we're calling the revamped starting experience is really guide players through the main storyline. And we've also sort of sped up that initial storyline a little bit, right? So the idea here is to take people to the end game quicker, allow them to experience the game, and then we open up the sandbox and all the fun stuff at the end game. So that's something we're starting to really focus on more.
Yeah, awesome. What was the biggest change yourself as most sort of proud of from launch to now?
From launch to now, I think, you know, mutators is one of the things I've enjoyed a lot. If you're like endgame PvE, I think they bring sort of a dynamic twist to the expeditions. They make, you know, give you new challenges. So I think that's a lot of fun. You're a PvP player, so I think, you know, you let me know, but the reward track, the PvP reward track, and adding the 3v3 arenas was a big push for us for the PvP players, and I hope you're enjoying those.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and I think a lot of people are really happy to and really don't mind PvEing to PvP. So the expeditions and mutators is something that everyone I know and everyone from the community, like PvP side, are happy to do, and it's a really cool part of the game. I think there's a few things everyone would like to see change, but it's genuinely good for the game. So
I'm talking about big changes. You know, one of the big changes with expeditions, obviously, is the removal of the expedition orbs.
We were very happy with that, and the drops as well. The drops.
I think for us, you know, loot has changed a ton since, if you remember the start of the game. Now it's very specialized. There's name drops. There's different, you know, open world bosses that have unique sets, and all the expeditions. Sorry, Mike, I owe you $1. All the expeditions, you know, the named enemies have unique drops. So we really tried to make that sort of the loot chase a little more interesting and fun. Versus at the start, it was just purely random. Now it's a little more directed. People can quest after certain pieces, which I think is cool.
Fantastic. So they were kind of my past, you know, where things have been. So this is probably quite a broad question, and I'm sure it isn't, but are you kind of, as a team, happy where the game is right now?
I think, you know, Brimstone Sands for us is the biggest the biggest update we've made since we launched the game, and I think, you know, we're getting very happy with the game. You know, a live game like this is never completely done. And people always find new bugs or things they want. So we're going to continue, you know, adding. But I think, you know, we've added a bunch of new content. We've added, you know, there were 2 new endgame expeditions already. We're adding a 3rd one with Brimstone Sands. There were 2 weapons, the Void Gauntlet Blunderbuss. We're adding the Greatsword for a 3rd weapon. You know, we've made a number of quality of life improvements. You know, we already talked about the expedition orders, but we've also made global to the trading posts, storage, fast travel easier. So between adding the new content, sort of improving the quality of life, and also we fixed just hundreds of bugs, right? Like you said, people in the early days, you know, there were a lot of bugs. It's a big game. It's hard to fix all the bugs. So between those 3 changes, we think, we're pretty happy with where the game is. And, you know, but at the same time, there's still a lot more work to be done. Like, you know, every day someone's asking, you know, when is this feature coming? So there's always more to do, and we're excited to keep building the game.
Awesome. Potentially a question you may or may not be able to ask, answer. One of the biggest things that everyone always sees and talks about, and I even made a bit of a funny video. People were constantly saying the game's dead.
And I actually created a YouTube video saying Dead Game, and it was just epic PvP, constant, just people everywhere, and essentially it was a bit of a, it's clearly not. But from like a business point of view, is the game generating enough income with the current player base to continue developing, or what?
Yeah, we are, we had a very successful launch. It sort of exceeded our expectations.
Welcome to London.
We were very happy with the launch. It exceeded our expectations. Millions of people got a chance to sort of, experience Aeternum in the game. Obviously, some people have left the game. I think that's natural in an MMO. It happens. People want to see cool new stuff. So we're generally okay with where the game is going. We're continuing to invest. Obviously, Brimstone Sands shows our biggest investment yet. And we're going to have more news coming on the future also. So the game is still very healthy. We're continuing to grow it. And we're going to make it better over time.
Wicked. I mean, I know we can't talk about it here, but the presentation, seeing those sort of cinematics and the feeling, I was like, I am a real nerd, because I genuinely got like excited, like really big butterflies, and I was like, okay, they're doing fucking brilliant. It looks amazing.
Well, I think, story is, and having sort of a narrative wrapper for the game is very important, right?
Yeah.
I think like one of the things that's best about New World is just the world itself, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so beautiful. And what we're really trying to do is make sure that the story is as awesome and beautiful as the world it's in, right? Like they've got a match. So, we revamped a lot of the story. We're adding more of those concept cinematics. Like if you saw the one after the Tempest Heart, there's 3 of those type cinematics spread throughout the Brimstone Sands questline. So I think people will enjoy seeing those, and each of them gives you a little bit more of the history of the zone and all that.
I've been a big advocate for sort of cinematics, because I'm very lazy. I'll admit to that. I don't read. I'm just lazy. I'm really lazy. So having some sort of cinematics to force you to follow a story a little bit, even if it's 30 seconds, is really cool, and I think will help people sort of stick with the game.
We also, all the quests in Brimstone Sands are VO'd also, which is nice also. So you get to hear the new NPCs tell their story.
Yeah, wicked. So obviously I'd like to ask a couple of PvP related questions. Still sort of in the present, one of the latest updates you did was stick wars into like an instance mode. Now my knowledge of developing and things is very, very, very limited. So the way I see it as an instance would, I'd see arena would be sort of an instance space. OPR would be an instance area. Is that exactly kind of how?
Yep. So in essence, it's the exact same thing that we did for war. So when you enter a war now, you don't actually go to that physical space where the war happens. You go to a separate instance. Okay. And the main reason we did that is that so the open world doesn't get overloaded, right? Because like if there's war here and people are messing around over here, the experience of war can get degraded by people nearby the war, because that area gets overloaded. So by putting it in an instance, we can ensure consistent performance of the war from then off on.
Wicked.
And the other nice thing about that, is that now that it's in an instance, it gives us a little more control over it. So, that's something we might leverage in the future.
Cool. Is that, again, maybe something I don't really know whether it would make a difference or not, but sometimes when you're in the OPR map and you zoom in and zoom out, you sometimes see, things on the map, waypoints, whatever. Is it sort of essentially on a separate server, or does it sit within the same place, just somewhere else?
That I don't know. I'm not a tech guy. I don't know if it's on a separate server or the same server.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Do you have any sort of moving into the future of the game, do you have any, are you happy with OPR, Arena, or are there going to be other potential PvP modes or maps?
So I think in general, yes, we're very happy, especially OPR. I think, it has continued to be a favorite of players, since it was launched to today. We see great engagement in that feature. And Arenas, I think, especially after we made some tweaks to the rewards, we've seen great engagement with those. So we're happy with them for sure, but that doesn't mean we're done, right? Like, and I think, OPR, even just yesterday I saw a video on Reddit about, you upgraded the walls and people are jumping. And it's like, so, there's just bugs we still want to fix. There's balance we want to make sure. I think for me, like, siege weaponry is still a little underpowered in some of the modes. And I think, like, there could be some interesting mechanics if we can get that to play more. So I think, one, still bugs to fix. Two, we're always going to be continuing to sort of tweak and tune the formula we have. And then I think, over time, we're going to expand those features. No, nothing I can announce today, but I guarantee you there are people back at the office working on like how can we add new things to this mode, whether it be a new map, new sub features, things like that. We're going to continue building on those too, because I think they're great features that players like.
Yeah, I play far too much. Yeah. I think it's one of those modes that you can dive straight into large scale combat, and that's wicked.
Well, and I think one of the great things about it is it's so easy to join, right? Like you click one button, you're in queue, and you join. And I think very soon we hope with Expedition Finder to make that a ton easier for players to do the same thing for expeditions, right? Because I think that ease of access is a big part of the success.
Yeah. So something that's kind of dear to my heart. I've run companies, I've joined companies. When we first launched, I think we had 2,000-3,000 people sort of join to play with us on the EU side, and it was mental. It was really wild. One of the big things for me is obviously the wars, and declaring wars is something that I personally, and I like to think I speak for some of, if not all of the PvP sort of players, is the open world combat is some of the best combat I've ever seen, and it's really fun, it's really exciting, and all the different terrains where you can fight is wicked. But at the moment, declaring war on a territory kind of, in my opinion, maybe some others, is not as fun. You kind of essentially have a PvE mission where you are forced to flag, and you may come across people. Is there any plans for the future to expand or change or look into the sort of war declaration system?
Yeah, there is. I think we've talked about this in general. We're not going to be able to get into specifics,
of course,
today,
but
I think the influence race is one of the parts of the game that we're not super happy with. I think there is definitely room for improvement there, and I think war is such a pinnacle part of the game. We want to make sure the lead up to it is as fun as the war itself. And I think we've got work to do that. But unfortunately, nothing I can announce.
That's okay. It's nice to hear that it's like being discussed.
It's on our mind. It's definitely being discussed. And I think we have plans that hopefully people will be excited about. I mean, we're much happier with like the interactions around the FCPs. Yeah. So we may borrow some of the faction control point ideas and use those more for the influencers, and that's about all I should say at the moment.
I mean, slightly different to this, but remember, obviously, when Great Cleat, I don't know if you remember, the Great Cleat, on our server they called it Green Cleat. It just forced, whether it was supposed to be that way or not, I'm assuming not, but it just forced like this huge collection of people just running, and it just, you knew where other people were going to be, and it just created such a wild open world environment, and no one on that, even if you were losing, they had a good time. It was really good fun.
So yeah, we obviously were very much watching that. We loved the gameplay, like the density of interaction it created, but obviously we didn't like how it sped people through the reward track. But like that sort of vibe, this idea of like almost like this is the highlight area for PvP right now, is something that we definitely enjoyed seeing, and as I think something that we're looking at, how can we create that in a way that doesn't break the rest of the game.
Yeah, fantastic. So again, sort of following on from this, one of the, in my opinion, the greatest parts of New World is like the environment, and seeing Brimstone is just incredible. Things that I've seen in previous games I've really enjoyed is sort of an open world boss, which created an open world PvE, EVP type scenario, and they're not static, they're kind of dynamic. So I don't know, maybe I would say Thorpe is spawning here, and it would create that sort of congregation of players. Is there plans to kind of Turkulon was a great example.
So there is no open world boss specifically planned for Brimstone Sands yet. I think as you venture around Brimstone Sands, you might get a glimpse of an enemy that you'll fight in the future, but that's all I'll say for now.
I've been playing slightly on this topic, but I've been playing on the PTR events that you guys have been putting out, and for us it's like 1 a.m, so I'm knackered, but I'm constantly seeing huge spawns inside Windswood and outside Windswood, and it is madness. Is that sort of testing sort of server capacity and capability?
There's various things we're doing there. We're just testing how grid density and all that stuff works. So
exciting, cool. Just a couple more if you don't mind. So I was just saying, as much as I am sort of I like to feel like I can speak from a PvP stand, I really enjoy the PvE too. Is there any plans to sort of expand on the expedition? So more players in there, larger ones, essentially an OPR, as it were, for PVE, something that like a larger scale expedition?
No plans in the short term. I think in the short term, we're introducing a new expedition with Brimstone Sands, the Ennead. And as you've seen in sort of all the expeditions, is we try to introduce new mechanics to each expedition and sort of give each one a unique twist and a unique vibe. The Ennead, what I like most about it is sort of like, it's really got this expansive, almost outdoor feel to certain parts of it, right? Because you're in this huge pyramid that has cutouts and you get to see the air. So it sort of has a different vibe than some of the other dungeons where it feels a little more enclosed. So that's great. And there's also 3 bosses in this one, so people will get one extra sort of big fight as a part of the experience.
Fantastic. Just one more, if that's okay. The current roadmap is kind of coming to an end. What are your guys' visions for 2023? Obviously not sharing roadmaps at this point, but where would you want to see New World kind of go to?
Well, I think so. One, in the near future, Scott will be updating the roadmap, and we'll be getting a next one. I think we're definitely continuing to go all in on New World and build. And I think what I hope is a little bit of what we've done this past year, right? Like where it's a mix of, we've definitely got some bugs and performance type. You just got to keep chipping away at that stuff. Adding a bunch of new content, right? I love some of the seasonal events we've been building. I would expect more of those to happen. More end game content, more expeditions. Sorry, Mike. More expeditions. So I think that combination of new content, and also just keep helping out on the quality of life. Like sometimes it's even little things. Like I don't know if you noticed now when you go to the weapon mastery screen, it shows your expertise for each weapon on it. So little things like that. We're just looking at continuing to improve the game each day. We always check the forums and even Reddit sometimes, and just sort of like look what people are asking for, and it's a mix of sort of adding new stuff and improving the game each day.
Awesome.
And then the big announcement will happen when Scott's ready.
No, superb, man. Thank you so much.